On today's episode of the Locked On NHL podcast, the race for the Art Ross Trophy is giving us a wonderful look at the future of the league.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Seth Topal, and welcome to Locked On NHL, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. And we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. Today's episode of Locked On NHL is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. On today's episode of Locked On NHL, we start by taking a look at the Edmonton Oilers after an absolute beatdown at the hands of the Colorado Avalanche. How concerned are we about where Edmonton is at so far this season? We will then take a look at the early scoring race and who is pacing the league for the Art Ross Trophy. Plenty of youngsters in the mix for the early part of the season. And we'll take a peek at members of the 2025 NHL Hall of Fame class. Plenty of former NHL greats making the list here this year. My name is Seth Topal, host of Locked On Wild, joined by JD Young of Locked On Sharks. And JD, we start with the Edmonton Oilers, and fitting that a team whose name is after something that when you light on fire, it burns quite a bit. Because Edmonton has been a little ablaze to start the season, to say the least, including their most recent loss. Now, they did, full disclosure, they did rally to beat Columbus. They beat them in overtime 5-4 on a sick goal by Connor McDavid. But the Avalanche beating the Oilers 9-1. How many times did the Avalanche score? 9 times. Nine times. Yeah. How concerned should we be about seeing a 9 spot hung up on the Edmonton Oilers at this point in the season?
You got to be concerned because a couple of weeks ago, you and I talked about like which teams we're worried about, right? And we did talk about, hey, this Oilers team, right? They always start slow and then they kind of figure things out. And maybe that game is going to be the wake-up call for them of just how that they played to start the season. But you're probably going to have to face Colorado in the playoffs at some point because Colorado looks like a machine early to start this season. And this guy, Nathan MacKinnon, who we're going to talk about here in a little bit, also looks like a machine to start this season. And it can't be good to just be like, to get beat down that much. As someone who has watched their hockey team lose multiple like 10-1, 9-1 type of games over the past couple of seasons, it's not a great feeling to do that. And then especially if you're a team like Edmonton, who's supposed to be the team that is, applying these types of beatdowns and just getting run out of your own building. You do wonder with Knoblauch, and again, I know they won tonight, but you got to feel like he's probably feeling the pressure here and that leash is probably getting short. And when do the Oilers do something to make a change, right? Because you can't keep doing the same thing, and you can't just be like, well, we keep pulling ourselves out of this every year, after Thanksgiving, like it will be fine this year. It just feels a little bit different this year, right?
Yeah, and there are three different things that kind of pop open in my mind from that game. Is number one, the number of penalties. Yep. You put Colorado on the power play 7 times.
7.
Yeah,
Man.
7 times it's not quite 9 times, but
not quite 9.
7 times, and it's not like you had fights or anything like that. Like, you're talking tripping penalties, interference penalties, cross-checking, high sticking, a lot of discipline stuff that leads Colorado to go on the power play. The defense got roasted in this game. And look at what your decor is at this point in the season for the Oilers. You had Evan Bouchard out there, Matthias Ekholm, Brett Kulak, Darnell Nurse, Alec Regula, and Jake Wallman. Like, that was your decor, and you had one player that somehow managed to only get a -1 in that game, and then both goalies got filleted. Like, it just was a full, like, collective dressing down at the hands of the Colorado Avalanche. And the thing that I think kind of jumped out at me was, you have a game like this, and the Oilers made 3 players available to the media after the game.
Yep.
One of them was Trent Frederick, noted major contributor to
yes, noted leader. Yes, Trent Frederick. Yeah.
The Oilers, but none of them was Connor McDavid. Like,
the captain.
Do you and maybe this isn't fair of me to throw it all at him, but if you're the captain, it's great to talk after wins and say how good the team is doing and all that, but part of being the leader is that when things go wrong, you got to be there to face the music too.
Yeah, not a great look there to have. Poor Trent Frederick having to go out there and face the music on that one. I hope the guys bought him a steak dinner or something like that after that. But yeah, it's not a great look to have not having Connor McDavid out there, or Draisaitl, or one of those, like, those guys, right, to kind of wear it for the team. And yeah, I'm starting to worry. I'm starting to worry about this Oilers team. Like, I think too, you also look at just how good the Western Conference is, and now the Pacific too. Just like the teams that are starting to rise up here. You look at the Western Conference, and it feels like it's starting to get late really early for the Oilers. And I think they are a team that is in a candidate for a change, whether it's a roster maneuver or a coaching change or something. I feel like they have to do something here in the next couple of weeks if they don't start turning this around and start stacking points here, because yes, they won tonight, but like you said, you had to come back against a Blue Jackets team, which is going to be fighting for a playoff spot here, but like, you're still, you're tied for the wild card spot here, but this is still supposed to be an Oilers team that is supposed to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference. And yes, all the Western Conference, all the Pacific is just kind of weird right now, but it does feel like they need to do something here soon.
And we're getting close to a couple of major notable points in the season. Number one, we're getting close to the 20 game mark. So We're getting close to the quarter pole. We're getting close to the point where a slow start starts to leak into, this is just who you are.
Yes.
We're also getting close to Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And we all know the rule, and it's pretty much to the letter that the teams that are in playoff position by Thanksgiving, more often than not, they stay there. It's at about a 90% of the teams that are in that position by Thanksgiving make it, which means there are some that won't.
Yeah.
But the Anaheim Ducks start continues to look less and less like a mirage, and just like a team that finally found a coach that can unlock all the youth on that roster.
Yeah, their young players are ridiculous.
You look at some of these other teams like the Utah Mammoth. Again, I know they are kind of they kind of hit the skids.
Yep.
But that's a very young team with a lot of energy. They're going to be a problem. Chicago is currently third in the Central. This is This is probably the latest in the season that they have held a playoff spot in quite some time.
Yeah.
Like all these teams that people have just assumed, yeah, you can beat them every night. You can just bank those points. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Oilers, the good thing is like there hasn't been a lot of separation, right? Because I mean, even in the Pacific, there's 3 teams at 18 points. So like Vegas is number 2 with 18 points, and I mean Vegas does have games in hand here. And then you have the Sharks who have 7. The Sharks and Canucks who both have 17 points. So like it's a big jumble in the middle here. So if you win some key games, you can really find yourself climbing back into position. But I don't know, just something smells weird. Quickly though, before we go, does this say more to you about the Oilers or just how freaking good the Avs are? Because I mean, to just go and do what you want to a team like a team that's very prideful in the Oilers, like to put up 9 on them, and the way that this team is humming right now, does this say more about the Oilers or more about the Avs?
I'm gonna say it says more about the Oilers, and I think it just says that this is not. And I know they are dealing with a multitude of injuries right now. You got Zach Hyman out, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is out, Kasperi Kapanen is out, but that was pretty much a fully healthy decor that just got thrown over the coals and fully roasted. Like, that is maybe a sign that you need to do something to improve that grouping, because that performance, there's not any situation in which that can be acceptable, whether it be defense or goaltending. 9 goals is 9 goals. Like that's got to be a wake-up call for Edmonton. Like, hey, we might need to try to do something to pull somebody in to shore things up in the back end,
or at least just make an example here of somebody after that. But I think it says a lot about the Avs, who are just the freaking machine right now. So
they are a tank.
They are really good. We'll talk about Nathan MacKinnon here in a second, but I think I walk away, as bad as the Oilers are, I kind of walk away more impressed with the Avs, because again, 9 goals is a lot of goals to put up against a professional hockey team that is not actively tanking. So yeah.
I just looked at the expected goals numbers. The Avalanche had a 7.09 expected goals in 32 minutes against Calvin Pickard.
That's not, no. I've never seen anything like that. That is ridiculous.
They had, so in the 32 minutes, they had a 7.09 expected goals against. They scored 5 times. So Pickard actually was 2.1 goals saved above expected.
He had a good night.
32 minutes. And then Stuart Skinner in 27 minutes.
The
Avalanche.
That's just like practice. Like, it's just like, yeah, or like, you know, like in warm-ups when it's just like everybody versus the goalie. That's basically the start of this game. Yes.
The Avs had a 1.17 expected goals against Stuart Skinner in 27 minutes, and he gave up 4 goals. So, yeah, not great.
Poor Calvin Pickard, man.
Yeah, if you're Calvin Pickard, if I'm the head coach, if I'm the Oilers head coach, he's getting a hug, and I'm like, I'm sorry,
I'm sorry,
we
bro.
threw you out to the Sharks. Pun very intended. We are going to talk about the current race for the Ross. A bunch of players off to great starts this year, including a wonderful look at the future of the league. We'll take a look at who is chasing and who is currently in the lead as we continue today's episode of Locked On NHL right after this. Today's episode of Locked On NHL is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is in full swing, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. You can bet the second half over, first half under. Take your favorite player, Anthony Edwards, to make his over in threes made in a game. There are no shortage of options for you to enjoy, and FanDuel puts it all in one place so you can find everything you need and get on your way to happy betting. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to today's edition of Locked On NHL. We thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen of the day and for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. JD, let's take a look at the race for the Ross, which I think is just somebody needs to put that on a t-shirt. Currently, the aforementioned...
Are we racing to Ross? The department store?
Just put a Ross department store at the top of a mountain and have a bunch of NHL players climbing.
The Art Ross presented by Ross. Yeah,
there you go. Nathan MacKinnon is pacing the chase right now. He's got 29 points in 16 games. He's got 14 goals. His pace is something like 77 goals and 79 assists, I think. Which
seems doable.
Yeah, definitely sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
But listen to these names that are next on the list. In order, Leo Carlsson with 25 points in 15 games. Connor Bedard,
2023 draft
with 25 points in 16 games. And the return of the Macklin Celebrini,
2024 draft. Noted teenager.
Points in 16 games.
Yeah, it's been good.
If you're Gary Bettman, how happy are you to see the future of the league absolutely lighten it up at the early part of the season?
He's mad because they haven't earned it or something. I don't know. No, this is great. Like literal passing of the torch here, with these young players leading the way, right? And all these like high picks and people who say like tanking and stuff like that. I think this is proof that tanking works because look, you have like I said, Leo Carlsson, 2023 draft, second overall pick. Connor Bedard was the first overall pick in that draft. And then Macklin Celebrini, last time I checked, was the first pick in the 2024 draft. Like, these are three guys who were picked at the top of their draft classes. And look how quickly they are making an impact on their teams. And we talked about the Ducks a little bit earlier, but where Leo Carlsson has been absolutely fantastic for this team, right? And and it's not just like cheap points for these guys, especially Bedard. Bedard, of his points, 17 of them are even strength. Same thing with Celebrini, 17 even strength points for these guys. And it's not just all on the power play like Connor McDavid. McDavid's got, of his 24 points, 12 even strength, 11 on the power play. Connor McDavid, power play merchant, ? But no, it's I think it just shows how impactful these young players are being at even strength and how they're, all these teams are off to better starts than expected, right? And especially the Ducks, who lead the Pacific. But Chicago and San Jose are within either in a playoff spot or within a point of being in a playoff spot this, part of the season. This is the first time the Sharks have been over 500 since 2022. Just 2022. They've been playing under 500. The Sharks are over 500 because of Macklin Celebrini doing Macklin Celebrini things. And it is great to see the league right now just going to be in such great hands for the next, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, it is fun I find myself jealous of some of the young talent. And honestly, like I'm excited to see Connor Bedard having the season that he's having, because I'm on Team Celebrini, I think, at this point, as to who is the better player. I feel like Macklin Celebrini is a threat to score every time he touches the puck.
Yeah,
Like,
it's ridiculous.
And
I mean,
that
you've literally saw him jump over the boards and then go score. Like literally,
yeah.
like it's yes, it's great. Highly recommended.
Yeah, I can't imagine. But you've got plenty of the other mainstays that are also up at the top of this list. Jack Eichel obviously is up near the top. I was trying to find Cam Fowler, but he is past page 8 of the list. So
Wouldn't it be fair to the rest of the league if he could score goals as well too, like that? Yeah. Wouldn't it be fair?
I think if you look at where St. Louis is at in the standings, the fact that he's off to a cold start, I think, is the exact reason why they're in that predicament.
That and definitely not Jordan Binnington forgetting how to make a save either. 100%. But yeah, I mean, which of these guys do you think actually has like a chance to stay or have staying power here? Because right, it's something to do it for a couple of weeks here, but like to do it for a season long and to be in the race for a season long, because like we assume McKinnon's going to be in it because McKinnon's got such a resume, and he's also just a crazy person who's going to try to score 2 points a game right now. We know McDavid's going to be in it as well, but which of these young guys do you think actually has a legitimate chance to kind of stick around and make an actual run for it, even as 19 or 20-year-olds?
I mean, I like the fact that Macklin Celebrini has Will Smith on a line with him, I think will certainly help.
It does help.
But the fact that he's doing it with, now this is according to Daily Faceoff, the fact that he's doing it with Tyler Toffoli on that line too, can you confirm that Tyler Toffoli's been a top line guy?
He has. That is a sleepover line, the Toffoli Smith Celebrini line. That those guys like Toffoli's definitely kind of the veteran. I'm gonna kind of hang around in the quiet spots and put kind of tuck away easy, kind of those dirty goals. But yeah, like, and even Toffoli's been a little cold as of late too. So if like with Toffoli, you're going to get 25 to 30 goals from him. So yeah, he's going to continue to be on that top line there with him. And yeah, it's hard for me to imagine that line getting broken up for any reason, because they've been so effective for San Jose. But yeah,
I would say the two that have the most likelihood, like, I'm going to keep Celebrini on there because, again, I think he does a lot of the heavy lifting. Not to say that Will Smith doesn't, but Celebrini is,
we know his
generational. Yeah, he's a generational talent. But let's not throw Leo Carlsson out of this combination too, because keep in mind what he has with him on his line right now. He has a fully rejuvenated Chris Kreider. Fully rejuvenated and playing a immaculate net front presence on that line. He's also got Troy Terry. So there's some good talent on that top line for Anaheim. Yeah. That even if their pace slows a little bit, Carlson he's still going to rack up points being the center on that combination.
I'm taking Bedard. I just think Bedard looks like a different guy this year. I think he heard a lot about Celebrini's better, et cetera, et cetera. I think he might have taken it personal. I'm definitely, believe me, I'm taking Celebrini between the two, but it's not like they both can't be good. I think that's the thing, right? They both can be great players, and it's better if they are both great players. But I think Bedard is out of the three guys here. I think he's got the chance, I think, to be the player to stick around, because if you go back to his WHL days and when he was drafted, what was the thing that we saw about Bedard, right? It was that shot and that beautiful snapshot and his ability to score goals. So I think out of the three, he has the best chance to have the lasting power. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if all three do end up in the top 10 scoring, which I think, again, it would be a big boom for the league as they start to kind of phase out of this Ovechkin Crosby era and start to hand it off to your Celebrini Bedard era here soon. So,
well, and all of these young players will one day get what Joe Thornton, among others, had happen this year, which was an induction into the Hockey Hall of Fame for the 2025 class. We'll talk about some of the names that made their inductions and kind of what they brought to the league as we finish today's episode of Locked On NHL after this.
Guys, I'm super excited to tell you about our new sponsor, Drip Drop. With hydration, everything, when I'm hydrated, it just works better, right? My focus, my energy, my mood, even my skin. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's a doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. And it tastes amazing. My go-to flavors, I like the cherry and the fruit punch. And they've actually become my secret weapon for staying sharp and energizing me throughout long days. Hydration has become non-negotiable for me. Drip Drop helps me feel sharper, calmer, and honestly, just better overall. So right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop.
Final segment of today's edition of Locked On NHL. Thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen of the day and for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. JD, the 2025 class of the Hockey Hall of Fame was inducted yesterday, actually. And
Yes.
A couple of big names on this list. On the NHL side, Zdeno Chara.
Literally a big name.
Yeah. And if you want to go literally, Zdeno Chara and Joe Thornton.
Jumbo
Big.
Joe Thornton. Literally, yes.
Pretty big. But also Duncan Keith and Alexander Mogilny were both inducted as well. So let's just talk a little bit about these 4 and what they brought to the NHL. Obviously, you start with Chara, and he was just, he was the biggest defenseman in the league, I think, for pretty much every year that he played.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest defensemen ever to play the game.
Yeah, and our friend Ian, who does Locked On Bruins, he talked about how Chara, like he did an episode on Chara, how Chara was brought in to help kind of change this Bruins culture, especially after the Joe Thornton trade, right, where this Bruins team was trying to kind of figure things out. And he was brought in to help establish this Bruins culture, which has now been the Bruins culture for the last 15 years, basically, since he was brought in. And now he's helping to try to keep this culture going as they kind of phase out of all these older players and brought in. But, huge part of this team, winning the cup and, literally just like a larger than life type of character. Right. And you see what he's done after hockey now with like the marathons and all the other cool stuff that he's doing. But, just a massive, massive man who was not afraid to stick up for his teammates, always did the right thing on and off the ice. And, it's great to see players like Chara who, again, right, you're a great player, but even better person off the ice. So well deserving for Chara here.
How about your guy, Joe Thornton?
I don't think San Jose hockey would be anywhere near what it is today if it wasn't for Joe Thornton, right? Jumbo, like Owen Nolan is probably the first star in Sharks history, but Jumbo Joe Thornton literally like changed the franchise, right? The moment he got there, the Sharks became perennial contenders until the moment he left, with the exception of 1 year after the reverse sweep where they missed the playoffs. This was Joe Thornton was part of one of the best teams to never win a cup, and is among the best players to also never win a cup, right? Got there, won the Art Ross, put up multiple 90 assist seasons with the Sharks. And one of my favorite things about Joe Thornton, right, is he's always about the team. And you look at their Stanley Cup run, right? When really easy for him to be like, I'm Joe freaking Thornton, I'm going to play number 1C, right? He's like, no, we have Logan Couture. We have this kid named Tomas Hertl. Let those two guys play 1C. I'll play 3C. I got Marcus Sorensen and Kevin LeBanc on my side. We're going to be the best 3C in the NHL and be a big reason why this team is going to make a run to the playoff or run to the cup, and just unfortunately never got to lift it. So he is the best player to ever wear teal, and very happy to see him in the Hall of Fame, more than deserving. So.
As far as Duncan Keith goes, long time Blackhawks defenseman, but I think one of those guys that he played forever, 1,256 total games at the NHL level, a block magnet, and I think one of those guys that just he epitomized the Blackhawks of that era. I mean, he played 17 years at the NHL level. And I think, I would say for what he did on the back end, he's not one of those guys maybe that like he didn't put up, a ton of numbers as a defenseman, but I think it's pretty safe to say that if you don't have a guy like him in the lineup, your chances of winning Stanley Cups substantially harder.
Yeah, it's like Taves and of course, like Taves and Kane get all the highlights and stuff from those. But yeah, Duncan Keith on the blue line, was that stable force that allowed Taves and Kane to go do what they did. And yeah, it kind of stinks that he didn't get to like finish his career with the Blackhawks. Right, he had that 1 year with the Oilers. Where he put up 21 points in 64 games with them, but it would have been, I know they were going through their the start of their rebuild and stuff like that, but it would have been nice, because you don't see guys like that who play 17 years to spend their whole career with just one team. But yeah, it's just an absolute insane trophy case for Duncan Keith, right? He's now Hall of Fame, 2-time Norris winner. 3-time Stanley Cup champion, Conn Smythe, just a ridiculous cabinet of trophies for him.
And then Alexander Mogilny, prolific scorer throughout his NHL tenure. He had 20 goal seasons, 30 goal seasons, 40 goal seasons, 50 goal seasons. He also had a 76-goal season as a 23-year-old.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah, long overdue. I know Sabres fans were so happy that he finally got in, like a guy who's been passed over a bunch of times and stuff. And you always like those stories, right, of guys who've just constantly overlooked, and he finally gets in. That's a ridiculous, over 1,000 points in less than 1,000 games for him. You love to see that, especially, as Russian guys are coming over and kind of making more and more of an impact, in the NHL. It's good to see that we're starting to, kind of recognize these guys and their contributions in the NHL, right? You can't tell, especially the Sabres, you can't tell the story of the Sabres without him.
Yeah, that's 100%. As these guys are woven into these franchises, and without their contributions, these franchises just are not the same. So, Congratulations to those longtime NHL names. Of course, the full hockey Hall of Fame class was inducted yesterday. Jennifer Botterill, Brianna Decker, in addition to Jack Parker, Danielle Salvaggio, I definitely did not pronounce that correctly, but congratulations
tried.
to all 8.
Yes, I'm sure the we're leaving the women's group for the our Saturday crew there who talk about the women's league. So I'm sure they will get those girls covered, or those ladies covered. It's just you and I don't think we could do them justice for what their contributions are to women's hockey. So
Correct.
we're not purposely excluding them. We just we have to think of our co-host here. So
yeah, we'll leave them for them to discuss later in the week, as I know they will absolutely knock it out of the park. So
yes,
that's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On NHL. Again, thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day, and for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. #1. So we will continue to keep you up to date on all things NHL. So make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We got new episodes for you every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day.